Hey guys, I know many people really miss getting their haircut right now, so I made this tutorial to teach you how to do a taper fade with a disconnected undercut. This cut suits a variety of head shapes and hair types, and the disconnected look gives this cut a variety of styling options. The taper fade is very subtle and is an easier haircut to start with for beginners compared to a skin fade. The first step is sectioning the hair. I'm wetting the hair first and using the comb to create a part. And I'm trying to keep this part natural, I'm trying to keep it wide, and I'm following it from the corner of my hairline all the way to the back near the crown. It's very important that I part it equally on both the right and the left side, and I'm trying to keep it as wide as possible to avoid changing the shape of my hairstyle on top and doing any long-term damage to the overall shape and style. Now I'm drying the hair in place and I'm showing you guys the parietal ridge. I want to keep shape above this area because that's where my head shape rounds on the sides. This is the occipital bone in the back, and I'm showing you guys that I allowed the crown to sit naturally. You'll need a clipper with an adjustable lever on this side and a guard system from numbers 1 to 5. There are two main positions for the clipper. There's the clipper guard closed, which is 0 and it's a shorter length. And then we have the clipper guard open, which is equivalent to about a 0.5 and it's a bit longer. I'm going to break this haircut down to segments. The first will be creating shape and reducing bulk using the reverse fading techniques, starting with the longest guard first. So I'm going to start using the number 5 guard open. I'm going upwards against the hair grain, which means I'm going against the direction of the natural hair growth. Next, I'm using the clipper guard downwards. That's with the direction of the hair growth, so it's going with the grain. So I'm working in the parietal ridge section. The parietal ridge is the widest point of my head. Above this section, my head will actually round if I cut it too short. So it's very important that I keep this top section slightly longer to create a more square profile, which is going to be a lot more aesthetic. When cutting the back section, it's very important to understand your occipital bone. The occipital bone is where your head protrudes at the back, and I like to leave a little bit more weight at the occipital bone. Leaving more weight and length at the occipital bone allows it to lie down more naturally and allows my head shape to look more square.
Okay, so the reason why I started with a 5 is because it's not really an aggressive cut. It's not going to just take it all down short. So what I'm doing is just kind of gradually cutting it shorter. And I'm starting with 5, and then I'm working my way down to 4, 3, 2, 1.5, 1, and then I'm going to do skin taper on the bottom and the back.
Next, I'm using the 4 guard open, and I'm going right below what I did with the 5 guard closed.
What I'm kind of doing is building some more shape throughout the back of my head. So I went down with the number 5 there, and then I'm just going with the 4 open.
Next, I'm using the 4 guard closed, and I'm working right below what I just did with the 4 open. So I'm using the top-down fading technique, which means I'm fading from the top down, starting with the longest length and working my way down. I'm going to be starting with the number 3 now, open, and I'm working right below what I did with the number 4. Now I'm working with the 3 guard closed, and I'm working right below what I did with the 3 guard open. And as you can see, I'm not creating any guidelines on the side. I'm going now with the 2 guard open, and I'm going right below what I did with the 3 guard closed. Now I'm working on the left side of my head. It's a little bit trickier, so you guys have to use your mirror. I like to approach the haircut in 3 sections: left side, right side, and the back side. So I'm going again, 3 guard closed right below what I did with the 3 guard open. Now I'm working with the 2 guard open right below what I did with the 3 guard closed. So you can see here the shape is really important. You don't want to go into that. So that's why you go right below what you did with your last guard and you don't go higher. And the key as well is to keep that up and down stroke motion. I'm not digging the clippers into the head. I'm keeping them flat on the scalp and I'm going up at a 90-degree angle. I'm working with the 2 guard close right below what I did with the 2 open. You don't have to be extremely thorough in the very bottom part of the fade because I'm going to go shorter there, so it is a bit redundant. The next segment we're working on is the lower section and we're going to be doing shorter fading. So we're starting with the 1.5 guard open and we're working right below what we did with the number 2 guard closed. And we got to be very careful that we don't bring these guards too high because we don't want to compromise the shape when we're creating our fade. And remember, the fade is just as important as the shape. So next we're working with the number 1.5 guard close right below what we did with our last step.
Alright, so we kind of got some better shape now. So if you look at me straight on, you can see, you know, there's some nice shape developed there. I'm going to start going in with a 1 open and close just again to clean it out before I go in with that taper.
So as I go shorter, there's going to be more contrast in the blend. So I'm going shorter right at the bottom to make the fade gradient go from a number 1 all the way to a number 5 at the top. I'm just using it around the edges. Now I'm going to start my taper fade. So I'm going to go with the 0 guard close and I'm going to just create a line right about there and I'm going to go open now with the no guard on that and I'm going to go about a centimeter above that initial line. I'm going to leave that bottom section for now and then I'm going to go in between with the no guard half open, so that's between open and closed, and I'm going to just tap that line. I'm going to use the corner of my blade. You don't really have to use the full blade. As you can see, I'm just using about half or even just a little bit of the corner. As you can see, there's a few layers of the haircut here and I'm just going to be working right at the bottom to get rid of that initial guideline first, and I'm using the clipper in a way where I'm kind of flicking out. I'm not trying to create any hard lines here. I'll be working with the 0.5 guard. The 0.5 guard is a key element to creating skin fades and a smooth blend because it allows you to get those fine details that would be hard to get otherwise with just freehand techniques. Finally, I'm going to clean up that bottom section. I'm going to go right below what I did with that first initial guideline. I'm going to flick upwards so that I don't create a new guideline. As you can see, it starts to get really nice and clean and you start to get that nice skin fade. So we're just using the corners of our trimmer to just detail and blend in that line. Now we're going to go with the lineup and we're going to be lining up the edges of the haircut. And you can do this with the back of your clipper if you do not have a trimmer, but I don't recommend that you try and push the lineup back here. You just want to keep it as natural as you can. I'm using a full shaver and this really completes the skin fade. It gets it all the way bald and smooth. It gives you that nice barber shop fresh feel. You can get the same effect by using a razor. I'm doing the touch-up work of the haircut now. I'm using the corners of my open blade to clean out that initial guideline. Details are very important with haircuts, and it's not going to just come out perfectly right away, so I want to get that expectation out of your head. Take your time and have a lot of patience with this because it's not going to come out perfect right away, and self-cuts, they're bound to have some errors. Next, we're starting the lineup. It's really key that you use the mirror effectively here. I like to start with the right side of my head because it's easier since I am right-handed. I'm following the natural outline of my hair. Around the ears is a very tricky area, and I'm actually just going to do the corner that I can see from the front. On the other side, it's a little bit trickier because I have to use the mirror very effectively to get the angle right. Around that back area, I'm not going to line up, and I'm going to cut that a little bit shorter when I go back and I fade the back. I'm starting my back taper with the blade in the 0 position with the lever closed, and I'm going straight across to make my initial guideline. Secondly, I'm going with the no guard open, which is the 0.5 blade, and I'm going to work up about an inch. I want to separate these guidelines and do what's called a stretch blend, so creating bigger steps to make a smoother blend. Now I'm going to go with the trimmers and just clean up right below the initial guideline. I'm going to make sure to not go as high with the trimmers as I went with the initial guideline. Now I'm working with the no guard half open, and I'm just flicking out that guideline, and I'm moving the blade open and closed until I get to my next 0.5 guideline. I'm now using the number 1 guard open, and I'm going up about an inch to an inch and a half. Then I'm using the number 1 guard close and working right underneath my last step. So now you got to be really careful. You got to use the 0.5 guard open, and slowly as you work your fade downwards, you close the clipper more. So now I'm going to go a little bit shorter and go with the half guard open, working right below what I did with my last guard. And now I'm just trying to be very subtle and flick right on the hairline because I don't want to bring the fade any higher. If you go higher with this step, you may bring the fade higher and make a huge mistake. Now we're working with the 0.5 guard close, and we're literally just working on the line. So I went a little bit higher with a few steps there, and I'm going to have to touch it up a little bit. So I'm going back with the 1.5 guard, and I'm going to descend downwards. I'm going to go with the highest guard, the 1.5 first. Then go with the 1 guard open right below what I did with the 1.5. And then I'm going to go around the ears with the number 1 guard closed because, as I mentioned before, I couldn't line that area up as it's a little bit tricky with the size of my ears, and it's a little bit better to just go with a natural hairline as opposed to a pushed back one. Just adding some finishing touches here with the 0.5 guard. Now I'm using the straight razor to add some detailing to my haircut. I'm using sea salt spray here as a pre-styler. It's gonna add some nice texture, and then I'm gonna use some aftershave to keep my skin clean. I recommend that everyone tries to style their hair with a blow dryer because a lot of people rely on products, and I believe that blow drying is really the key to getting the style that you want because it's really gonna change the way your hair feels, it's gonna change the texture, and it's gonna really give your hair a different type of hold and stylability compared to just using a product. Try yourself, let me know, and I'll give you guys a full tutorial another time. Alright, here's the final look. A disconnected undercut with a skin taper. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you're going to try this haircut at home, you're going to make some mistakes, so just know that hair always grows back, alright? Thanks for watching, stay safe.